2018 Inter-Secondary School Debating Competition. I just want to welcome you in a very special way. Welcome my esteemed judges, and they're always willing and ready and able. I want to thank you at this point. I just want to welcome our auditors, our timekeeper, faithful soldiers, always there. The students, I want to say to you that you worked hard and you're going to do your best, and let us have a good competition this evening. Before we begin our competition proper, let us all stand, and we are going to have the national anthem, territorial song, followed by the territorial pledge, and then a prayer by Mrs. Kathleen Bowman Penn.
God save our gracious Queen, long live our noble Queen. God save our Queen, send her victorious, happy and glorious, long to reign over us. God save our Queen. Out of the huts of history's pain, our ancestors bled and died, but with strength and with power we overcame to restore the Virgin Islands' pride. To preserve the beauty, we devised a plan to obtain ownership of your precious land. Educating your people is the golden key to maintain the success of this territory. Oh, how radiant are your daughters, and how wealthy are your sons. Your beaches boast your beauty, and your success is second to none. Green and brilliant are your hillsides, they replenish our hopes and pride. Oh, beautiful Virgin Islands, your qualities can never be denied. I pledge to my country the territory of the Virgin Islands, to encourage national pride and dignity, render patriotic service, promote justice for all, be true to God, and remain dedicated to these Virgin Islands.
Let's remain standing as we bow our heads for prayer. Most gracious and ever-loving God, the giver of wisdom and knowledge, we acknowledge your sovereignty. Lord Jesus, you have been the most eloquent orator, the most just judge, and the most experienced teacher who ever walked this earth. Father, as the Virgin Islands Inter-Secondary School meet for a friendly and challenging debate competition, we implore your blessings on this event. Inspire confidence and clarity of mind in all of the participants, and let the final decision be impartial. This we ask in your most humble name. Amen.
Acting Chief Education Officer, Mrs. Connie George. Deputy Chief Education Officer, Dr. Lavon Chalwell-Bruley. Other officers, judges, principals, teachers, parents, students. Okay, you are not excited, but I am. I'm excited that we are about to kick off our 2018 debates, and this evening we are going to have two debates. Our first debate with the Brigada Flax Educational Center. Let's hear it for the Brigada Flax Educational Center. And the Virgin Islands School of Technical Studies. I remembered I was walking, I had some vehicle problem, and I was walking along my area in Long Trench, and I met one of the adjudicators, And I said to her, we are having debates this year. And she said to me, you're still doing that? I said, yes. Now, there's a reason. We went through a difficult experience with flooding, hurricanes, and God has seen it fit to have us here. He has brought us through. And in an effort for us to get back to or be better than what we were, we are continuing at the Ministry of Education with our initiatives and our program. And the debates are one of those things that a lot of us love and we enjoy. And so we are here to kick off the 2018 debates. Again, I want to thank you, the audience, for being here, and trust that we are going to have a fun time this evening. Our moderator for our debates, again, a faithful soldier who never says no. We have been in touch, and I know he has some difficulties with rebuilding and everything like that, but he has given up his time freely. And again, I've said this before, but again, Mr. Cromwell Edgewenka Smith, we just want to thank you, thank you, thank you for all that you do. Could you give him a round of applause? Thank you. Cromwell Smith, also known as Edgewenka, is the managing director of Media One, a media production company. He is the producer and host of the radio show Emoja and the television show Spotlight. We have missed that for a while because most of us are not up with our television, so you have been missing Spotlight. He is also known for his community activism. Mr. Smith has served on many boards and committees, and he's presently a member of the Board of Governors at the H. Laverty-Stowe Community College. He is also recipient of the Paul Harris Fellow Award from the Rotary Club of Tortola for exemplary community service. When it comes to serving his community, Mr. Smith can be called upon without a moment's notice. Ladies and gentlemen, our moderator for this evening's debate, Mr. Cromwell Edgewenka Smith.
Peace and blessings, everyone. Welcome to the 2018 Intersecondary School Debates. I'm excited to be here. This is my favorite thing to do. These young people are my favorite people to listen to. It's going to be an awesome evening, and it's going to be an awesome series of debates throughout the course of the next few weeks. So invite your friends, encourage everyone to come out, support the young people, and to just be educated, because really this is an education that we are going to receive during these debates. The kids take a lot of time in preparation, and they bring you the facts, not the fake news. They bring you the facts. The mood for the first debate this evening is a parental escort policy should be enforced to restrict students under 18 from patronizing public establishments during school hours. That's quite a long mood. A parental escort policy should be enforced to restrict students under 18 from patronizing public establishments during school hours. Proposition, Brigada Flax Educational Center. Opposition, Virgin Islands School of Technical Studies. For the proposition, we have first speaker, Ryan Ramlal. Give him a warm welcome, a rousing round of applause. Second speaker, Mariah Christian. Give her a round of applause. And rebuttal speaker, Kellia Stevens. For the opposition, Virgin Islands School of Technical Studies, first speaker, Sharice Todman. Second speaker, Brittany Bonton. Rebuttal speaker, Noah Spencer. The judging this evening will be based on soundness of points, 35, outline structure, 5, sound argument, 10, subject adequately explored, 5, adequate reference and supporting, 10, coherence, 5, logical development, 20. Opening statement, clear and engaging, 4. Clearly defined moot and key terms, 5 points. These are points. Clear path from premise to conclusion, 9 points. Effective concluding statement, 2 points. Presentation, audibility and clarity, 15 points, broken down into fluency, 5, diction and articulation, 5, voice modulation and control, 5. Posture and personality, 15 points, breaking down into charismatic delivery, 4, body language, posture, and eye contact, 6, command of audience, attention, ability to keep the audience engaged, 5, command of language, 15 points, breaking down into grammar usage and appropriate vocabulary, expression and structure, that's 6 points, expression and structure, 6 points, pronunciation, 3 points. Group coordination, 10 points, for a total of 110 points. Rebuttal is a maximum of 20 points and is broken down into recall of points, 10, recall and general analysis of debate, 14, and this is structure, 4, ability to identify the key arguments, 5, show understanding of the opponent's argument and effective analysis, 5. The ability to refute is a total of 20 points, and that's evidence in support of rebuttal of key points, 8. Soundness of counter arguments, 8. Convincing and confidence, 4. Spontaneity, 6 points, for a grand total of 50 points. And all of those points total 160. Okay. Our score sheet for the best speaker and overall best speaker: ability and clarity, 15 points, articulation, 15 points, and that's broken into voice modulation, 10, command of material, 10, persuasiveness, 15, fluency, 15, eye contact, 5, body language, 15, for a total of 100 points. And for the judges, please note, the rebuttal is not to be considered when judging the best speaker. The rebuttal is not to be considered when judging the best speaker. Our officials for this evening's first debate: Chief Adjudicator Kimberly Crabb Adams. Kimberly Crabb Adams is a member of the Litigation and Insolvency Department in Harney's, Westwood and Regals, where she advises leading law firms around the world on British Virgin Islands aspects of cross-border commercial litigation and insolvency. Mrs. Tessa Smith Claxton is a proud product of the Virgin Islands public school system. She holds a bachelor's degree in biology and a Master of Science degree in business management. Ms. Claxton has 23 years of experience in the health and productivity of the natural environment of the territory and is currently the Senior Administrative Officer with the Ministry of Natural Resources and Labor, assigned specifically to matters pertaining to the environment. Mr. Ryan Gullick is a certified accountant with the firm BDO. He now acts as a Deputy Managing Director and oversees the audit and technology risk advisory portfolios. Best Speakers Adjudicator, Ms. I want to get you married off, Ms. Nelsia St. John has 10 years experience in law as a barrister of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, British Virgin Islands. Nelsia St. John is a senior associate at the firm of Travers, Thorpe and Alberga, where she specializes in corporate and commercial law. My good brother, Kareem Nelson Hull, is owner and CEO, Chief Idea Officer at Maestro, Conductors in Communication Excellence. He holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Communications and a Master of Arts in International Relations, both from the University of Miami. He is a trained communications professional and serves as host of TV and radio programs and live events. Our ever-present call at a moment's notice. Brother Renee Phipps is, of course, continues to be our timekeeper. Our auditors are Ms. Marsha Frett and Ms. Lauren Welch. And the procedures are: the first speakers for the proposition and the opposition have 8 minutes to present their cases. The second speakers for the proposition and the opposition have 5 minutes to present their cases. There will be a 5-minute silence for the teams to prepare their rebuttals. The rebuttal speakers for the opposition and proposition have 4 minutes for rebuttal. The timekeeper gives a signal 1 minute before the expiration of the speaker's allotted time and at the end of the allotted time. And that signal sounds like that. Following the rebuttals, the adjudicators will retire for their 15-minute deliberations. The auditors will collect the score sheets from the adjudicators, calculate the final scores, determine the best speaker and the winning team, and return the results to the adjudicators. We will have a brief open discussion, our favorite part. So I expect this is a good crowd tonight. We expect good participation in our own friendly debate. Of course, we won't debate on the Moot itself, but we'll give our own ideas. Upon the return of the officials, the best speaker adjudicator and the chief adjudicator will each give a 5-minute constructive critique of the debaters' performances. The timekeeper will signal 1 minute before the allotted time expires and the end of the allotted time, after which the results will be revealed. Audience, your role is to participate meaningfully with applause when necessary and to encourage the young people and, laugh on occasion. And ladies and gentlemen, now for the debate. I now call on the proposition's first speaker, Mr. Ryan Ramlal, to present his case.
Students wreaking havoc in tongue. These were the words spoken by our very own Minister of Education, the Honorable Myron Walwin, on December 27, 2017. Mr. Moderator, esteemed judges, my worthy opponents, and members of the audience, a pleasant good evening. Mr. Moderator, my colleagues and I have done much research for this presentation, and so we wholeheartedly support the Moot, which states a parental escort policy should be enforced to restrict students under 18 from patronizing public establishments during school hours. Ladies and gentlemen, for the purpose of this presentation, I will now define some key terms. According to the Merriam-Webster Online Dictionary, an escort is a person who accompanies another to give protection or as a courtesy. A policy is a method of action selected from among alternatives and in light of given conditions is used to guide and determine present and future decisions. To patronize is to be a customer. According to realestateLaw.com, public establishment is a place of business. With regards to school hours, the Virgin Islands Education Regulations 2016, Part 2, Number 3B states that primary and secondary schools commence at 8:40 a.m. and end at 3:30 p.m. We, the members of the proposition, understand the Moot to mean that between the hours of 8:40 a.m. to 3:30 p.m., a method of action is needed which requires parents to accompany students who wish to be a customer of any place of business. Ladies and gentlemen, I will now expound on 3 central arguments in support of the Moot. These are as follows. Number 1, a parental escort policy forces parents to be more actively involved in the lives of their children. Number 2, this policy ensures the safety and protection of students. And number 3, it reduces antisocial behavior among students. My colleague will outline the economic benefits for businesses if such a policy is implemented. Esteemed judges, from this point, we will use the abbreviation PEP when referring to the parental escort policy. We will not refer to the shift system in our argument, since this is a temporary situation and we are looking at the long-term outcomes. Firstly, PEP forces parents to be more actively involved in the lives of their children. Let's face it, members of the audience, some parents drop their children after school and many do not monitor their children during this time. Teachers will agree that schools are crying out for more parental involvement. The opposition may want to argue that some students leave school during lunchtime to seek better lunch options. According to an article published online at the New York Times website dated March 2017, students who leave school campus during the lunch period often return late for afternoon classes, or some don't even return at all. Esteemed judges, it was not long ago when the Elmer Stout High School, ESHS, was plagued with the problem of students' involvement in delinquent behavior during lunch hours. Business establishments, such as UPs, cried out to the Ministry of Education for help. Their cries were answered with the implementation of the lunch program at ESHS. According to an article on Virgin Islands News, online dated January 26, 2012, then Minister of Education, Honorable Andrew Foy, stated that, and I quote, "The lunch program will allow for us to meaningfully address a number of social ills that were beginning to mushroom," end of quote. This program ensured that students could not leave school without their parents signing them out. Members of the audience, this program has proven to be a successful one. On Virgin Gorda, our school is plagued by this problem. Many students who leave campus for lunch often return late. We believe, like the lunch program, PEP will eradicate all these issues. Secondly, this policy ensures the safety and protection of students. Informed members of the opposition, according to the regulations mandated by the laws of the BVI, the school is responsible for students during school hours. When students leave during school hours, who is responsible for their safety? With PEP, parents will be tasked with supervising their children if there is a valid reason for them to leave the school's premises. Members of the audience, what happens when one of these students is hurt or injured while in one of these establishments? Well, the business will be liable and the school will be held accountable for students' absence during school hours. Thirdly, it will reduce antisocial behavior among students. Intelligent judges, students who visit public establishments for lunch do not take 1 hour to eat. So what happens when they are finished? We all know some children have serious disciplinary problems. Even when some proprietors attempt to talk to these students tend to be verbally abusive. In Guyana, an article in Kaichon newspaper dated December 18, 2012, teens were not allowed to visit the Giflon Mall without the presence of an adult. The chairman, Mr. Bipat, stated that this initiative was implemented to decrease loitering and prevent minors from engaging in unacceptable behavior. What about the BVI? Well, according to the web news site, www.bvinews.com, article dated December 22, 2017, the Pier Park is considering implementing a parental guidance program, PGR. Anyone under the age of 17 should be in the company of an adult. The restriction was a direct result of some students shoplifting while others were involved in, and I quote, nasty public fights, end of quote, according to leasing and marketing manager of Tortola Pier Park, Meslin Allen. This policy will help to control the park and to maintain a level of safety and will encourage adult shoppers to feel safe and less intimidated by groups of rowdy teens. Therefore, if parents want their children to leave school during school hours, they will need to be responsible for supervising them. In conclusion, the PEP is an excellent idea for ensuring increased parental involvement in the lives of their children. It provides safety and protection for students during school hours, and it also reduces antisocial behavior. Esteemed judges, I rest my case.
Timekeeper, can you give us time, please? 7 minutes and 57 seconds. Thank you very much. I now call on the opposition's first speaker, Sharice Todman, to present its case.
Mr. Moderator, distinguished judges, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My fellow schoolmates, my teammates and I, the opposition, are not here to sell you a dream like the affirmative. They will try to convince you, my audience, and my distinguished judges, that a parental escort policy should be enforced to restrict students under 18 from patronizing public establishments during school hours. But my teammates and I are here to deliver 3 certain points. But my teammates and I are here to deliver to you 3 certain points to prove to you, my distinguished judges, that this policy is unwarranted. Point number 1, this policy will act as a form of control, which will, instead of help shape our ability to be responsible, it is a form of policing. Point number 2, Point number 2, this policy will not make a difference in delinquent behavior, but act as a punishment to make the innocent suffer. And point number 3, this policy will stunt the maturing growth of our youth. I will focus on points numbers 1 and 2, and my teammates will enlighten you with point number 3. Now, the affirmative will use antics to cover the fact that this policy is just another way to police our freedom. Police our freedom to roam. Police our freedom to be teens. Police our freedom to walk without worrying if our parents are over our shoulders. Now, it is evident that there are some bad seeds among us, but this should not stop others from being able to roam. Case in point, Dave is just across the road from our school. This is a business place. According to this policy, I won't be able to go and get a snack during my lunch or break time without a parental escort. He mentioned that he has no issue with students who enter his establishment. Matter of fact, a student from the Virgin Islands School of Technical Studies job trained there a year ago with her appalling behavior. Here is a scenario that can be very real if a student will suffer if this policy is to be put into place. Now, imagine this. You're 17 years old and your parents leave for work earlier than they usually do. Now today you find yourself running late, but it's okay because you have a motorbike, which is your personal transportation to and from school. So you go to the gas station and dressed fully in your uniform, and the attendant tells you that you're not allowed to get gas without your parents being present. Now, judges and audience, I ask the question in the best way we students know how. Please excuse my dialect. That makes sense? Now, not only are you late for school, but you can't go anywhere without letting your parents know in case they have to assist. The affirmative will hide the facts with their roundabout notions. But if this policy comes into pass, your parents will be policing you more than the actual police. Which brings me to case number 2. This policy will work as a punishment for all students, which again is unfair and unwarranted. This policy is only a thought because of some delinquent students who have disrupted the natural order of things. But no blame should be put on the innocent students who know how to conduct themselves in a business establishment in an appropriate manner. In fact, most of the businesses around town cater to the students because of the shift system that is in place, which makes school hours 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. for some, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. for others, and regular school hours for the rest. Who's to say what the school hours are? You'll have to excuse my confusion because I am a student at VISTS who follow the regular school rules, the school hours. This will be an issue, but I digress. The point is, the guilty will always find a way to be guilty, and the innocent suffers for that. What message are we trying to send if the affirmative gets their way? According to a news article from BFEC News Online, in December 2017, the management of Tortola PayPack has banned anyone under the age of 18 from entering the multi-million-dollar shopping facility if not accompanied by an adult. Leasing and marketing manager of the PayPack at the time told BFEC News on the 22nd of December 2017 that a new rule went to effect because of some rowdy and undisciplined students from a school we will not mention. This had a heavy hand to play in the implementation of this policy. The affirmative may attempt to dazzle you with fancy words to hide the fact that this policy proposal will not do anything about the behaviors of others. The affirmative will try to make this policy sound like a utopia, but don't be fooled by this dystopian flair. However, in the then marketing manager mentioned that security officers will be policing the park for disruptive students and will always be conducting stop checks to youngsters who appear to be under the specified age. There goes that policing word again. However, higher officials agreed that putting such policies in place will not leave a good taste in the mouth of the innocent students, business owners, and parents. In another BFEC News article, Minister responsible for Youth Affairs, Honorable Myron Walwyn, called on the authorities at the shopping center to reconsider the move. So, if the minister himself can see the error in making such a policy that will police our youth and punish the innocent, then who are we to disagree? I say let's not even spend another minute thinking about this policy. Thank you.
Well, it's getting kind of warm in here. Thank you, Brother Phipps. What's the time there?
Time, 7 minutes, 1 second.
Great, thank you. 7 minutes, 1 second. I now call on the proposition's second speaker, Ms. Mariah Christian, to present its case.
Mr. Moderator, erudite judges, members of the audience, in spite of all we have heard, we on the proposition have not lost our focus. We have unmovable determination to convince you that, and I quote, a parental escort policy should be enforced to restrict students under 18 from patronizing public establishments during school hours, end of quote. I will outline 2 positive economic benefits of a PEP in the British Virgin Islands. 1, a carefully implemented PEP fosters the perception of a clean, safe, and friendly shopping environment. And 2, a PEP can have a positive impact on revenues. Ladies and gentlemen, do you realize the importance of tourism to the British Virgin Islands economy? According to the World Tourism and Travel Council, Tourism and Travel Council directly generated 3,000 jobs, 29.7% of total employment in the British Virgin Islands in 2016. In 2016, these sectors directly accounted for 34.3% of GDP, gross domestic product. Additionally, the Central Statistics of the British Virgin Islands reported that some 1.12 million tourists visited our territory in 2016, of which almost 700,000 were cruise passengers. These figures are undisputable. They illustrate that tourism is the most important contributor to our economy. Tourism touches every sector and almost every family in our community. Considering the undeniable importance of tourism, can we blame the management of the Tortola PayPack for attempting to deter behavior that negatively impacts the carefully crafted commercial environment? Mr. Moderator, in a paper titled Hanging Out and the Mall, the production of a teenage social space, sociologist and lecturer of the University of Leicester, Jennifer Maguire, knows that teenagers view malls as public space. However, these establishments are first and foremost commercial spaces. Maguire notes that owners and tenants have the right and even the economic responsibility to control the mall through the policies and practices that will encourage patrons to purchase. At public establishments such as Tortola PayPack or Rightway, many teenagers can be seen socializing in large groups, talking loudly, fighting, and displaying other deviant behavior. There have even been reports of shoplifting. The very presence of unaccompanied teenagers makes some shoppers nervous. This translates to fewer shoppers and lower revenues for owners and tenants. Ladies and gentlemen, these businesses have a right to implement structures to maintain a professional commercial atmosphere that supports their purpose, making money. Secondly, a PEP can have a positive impact on revenues. A report by the International Council of Shopping Centers notes that children accompanied by their parents are more likely to shop, whereas unaccompanied children frequent these establishments only to loiter and socialize. Further, according to a report on ABC News dated September 23, 2010, the management of the Mid-Rivers Mall in St. Louis, Missouri, reported that after the implementation of a PEP, there was an increase in revenue by 3 to 10% in all categories, including teenage-oriented retailers. Ladies and gentlemen, it is important to note that a PEP is never implemented to make teenagers feel unwelcome. Instead, a PEP protects the interests of businesses, shoppers, and teenagers themselves. Certainly, you will agree that we must maintain commercial atmospheres of businesses in the Virgin Islands, given our dependence on tourism. We, the members of Proposition, strongly support the implementation of a parental escort policy. We rest our case. Thank you.
And the time, Brother Phipps?
Time, 4 minutes, 45 seconds.
Thank you. I now call on the opposition's second speaker to present its case. Brittany Bointon.
Good evening to you all again. My teammate mentioned two significant reasons why we oppose the Moot. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here to prove to you that a parental escort policy should not be enforced. With this policy in place, the maturity of the adolescents in the BVI will decline. This policy is making the bold statement that we, adolescents who are 15, 16, and 17, are not capable of living without parental presence. In some societies, adolescents at the age of 13 are considered adults. In the United States, teens are allowed to divorce their parents, get an apartment, and live on their own. Some students right here in this audience have jobs and are able to take care of their own responsibilities. I'm not going to stand before you today and say that there aren't some bad apples in the bunch who are unable to conduct themselves in a mature manner and who are incapable of taking care of themselves. But I'll speak for myself and my fellow schoolmates when I say we don't need this policy. Most of us will be going on job training soon, and I'm afraid to find out how this will work if such a policy was to be put in place. Is the affirmative then saying students will need their mommy and daddy to accompany them on the job as well? I mean, the Moot has it right there, bolded, parental escort, and the affirmative agrees. Sure, we have had a few mishaps now and again, but those mishaps or disruptions aren't any different from when all parents who attended the then BVI High School used to roam through Road Town. These are the same ones who are now adults, who used to be able to roam freely, to buy lunch from anywhere like Dapu or Popeyes. No escort policy was put in place then. These are the very adults who say we should behave more maturely and we should stop waiting for mommy and daddy to do everything for us, that we should get a little job, and the list goes on. But my teammates and I asked the question, how can we do all these things if this policy is put in place? The affirmative neglected to mention that this policy will hinder any chances of us maturing and moving on to bigger and better things, because we will always be in need of our guardian's permission for something as simple as grocery shopping. So moderator and judges, again, as my teammates asked so eloquently earlier, that makes sense? After speaking with several business owners around town, it was said that the capital has increased since the shift system began. Capital has increased since students started hanging around the Pier Park and other business establishments that cater to them and their interests. Many business owners are willing and able to assist senior students who are seeking employment and on-the-job training. This is yet another way we show our maturity. How will it look if my parents have to escort me on the job? This is contradicting and stunting my growth. Several business owners admit they have security systems, and some even have security guards. If the guards are doing their job correctly, they should find the parents of the delinquent student and ban them, not put a policy in place which will punish all. Every business isn't the same. However, there are some owners who are for the ban and others who are against. Just as every business isn't the same, every student isn't the same. So why treat us all the same? The law states that a person is innocent until proven guilty. Well, this policy and the affirmative seems to have the verdict in already, and it seems that we all are guilty. As mentioned by my colleague earlier, this policy is a form of punishment for all, when it is the misguided students who need to be set straight. And a way to police us, I say this policy will stunt our growth. A 2017 Virgin Island News article online mentioned that the business opposed the student ban, and if that is the case, then why is this even a topic? From the words of one business owner, Mr. Nelson Hall, who runs Sweet Teas, he's strongly against the decision to ban all teenagers from freely entering the Pier Park, because he knows it's the very teens who help to boost the economy. If this well-respected business owner opposes, I don't know about you all, but my team and I strongly oppose this proposal too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Time, 5 minutes, 28 seconds.
5 minutes, 28 seconds. We're going to take a 5-minute break, complete silence, while the debaters prepare their rebuttals. And then we will continue with the rebuttals. And by the timekeeper Phipps, you'll keep us on track with the time. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Phipps. I now call on the opposition's rebuttal speaker, Mr. Noah Spencer, to present its rebuttal. Give him a warm welcome.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The debate was started with the reading, Students Reaping Havoc in Road Town. Myself and many others know who these students are. So, why should the innocent suffer for the guilty? The first speaker spoke about safety and protection. But as my colleagues both mentioned, this will stunt our growth. If my parents are always on my back, how will I grow? If I always have to depend on mommy and daddy, how will I grow? There are many females within this audience, and there are many female students. So imagine, fathers, mothers, your daughter is on her way to school, and there is 2 minutes to get to school, and her menstruation cycle happens to creep upon her. Are you telling me that she has to go to school messy? Ladies and gentlemen, let us be honest. He himself also said that some, not all, some students have seriously undisciplinary behavior. And as I said, most of us know who these some students are. So again, why does the innocent have to suffer for the guilty? So, the second speaker, she started to speak about the pay pack. But she kind of tripped herself up when she said that it interrupts their purpose, their main purpose, which is making money. Now tell me, without the students being there and without ships being in, how will these vendors make their money? But then again, that's them. Ladies and gentlemen, we also have to note that our parents have jobs. So having to call our parents and interrupt them from their jobs to have to come and carry us to get lunch or carry us to get a snack on lunchtime and break time, because the first speaker stated that it's an act that school begins at 8 o'clock and ends at 3:30. So lunchtime is within this time. So school hours and break time is school hours. School hours is lunch. School hours includes lunch and break time. So I have to call mommy, say, Mommy, I'm very hungry. I need to go next door, as my colleague said, Dave, right next door to get a buster and a snack just to hold me for break time. Mommy, I need you to come because I have to get my lunch. This hinders our parents, and knowing that this is where our monies come from, where, well, some of us are very high maintenance, and if our parents are always out of job or out of work, how will they be able to cater for us? Ladies and gentlemen, I rest my case.
Time, 3 minutes and 6 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. Phipps. I now call on the proposition's rebuttal speaker, Ms. Kalia Stevens, to present its rebuttal. Give her a warm welcome.
Mr. Moderator, judges, members of the audience, we are confident that you will do the right thing and agree with us that a parental escort policy should be enforced to restrict students under 18 from patronizing public establishments during school hours. Ladies and gentlemen, the opposition has not persuaded us to adopt any other position. I want to show you how absurd their arguments are. The leader of the opposition said that the policy should not be enforced at this time since the concept of school hours means something different with the shift system, but I guess they weren't listening. Mr. Moderator, our leader made it clear at the beginning that we were not referring to the shift system since it is a temporary measure. However, the problems we are having now concerning students quote-unquote wreaking havoc did not just begin.
They had started long before the shift system. I am sure we all are aware of the Education Minister is working tirelessly to get our schools back to normalcy. The leader of the opposition also said that some establishments mainly cater to teenagers and will suffer a decline in sales if the policy were enforced. Ladies and gentlemen, this policy is not a complete ban, and there will be opportunities for students to patronize these establishments outside of school hours and on Saturdays and Sunday. They will also do this at any time accompanied by at least one parent. The word in the Moot is restrict. The leader of the opposition also implied that implementing a PEP is stereotyping all teenagers as troublemakers. Mr. Moderator, while there are many law-abiding teens, we cannot ignore the fact that there are many loud and aggressive ones, and the numbers are growing daily. We on the proposition tend to see the policy as promoting the safety and well-being of the students themselves, the customers, and the workers at these establishments. The leader of the opposition said that parents do not need to know the whereabouts of their own children at all times. But are these students of the legal age of the country? If the government isn't responsible and the parent isn't responsible for them, then somebody tell me who is. Finally, Mr. Moderator, ladies and gentlemen, our worthy opponents have to agree with us that a parental escort policy should be enforced to restrict students under 18 from patronizing public establishments during school hours. Ladies and gentlemen, such a policy certainly has more advantages. The evidence is clear. It is the way forward. I thank you.
Time, 2 minutes, 45 seconds.
Thank you, timekeeper. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, those arguments, and you have to admit that those are some pretty tough arguments to decide upon. Give the young people a rousing round of applause, please. Well-made points. At this time, the adjudicators will retire for hopefully no more than 15 minutes to deliberate on the scores.
Let me first commend both teams for their awesome presentations, and also to the audience. It's one of the largest I've seen being involved in these over a few years. I mean, you can personally imagine how interested I was in hearing the debate on this topic. As some of you may know, I am an entrepreneur at the Totola Pear Park, where this is not a figure of imagination, it's a real situation that we faced earlier this year. You teams did a great job in presenting your size of the argument, and I also felt enlightened and compelled on both sides to what you presented. The best speaker comes from the proposition side, is that correct? Brigado Facts Educational Center. And that best speaker winner is Mariah Christian. Of course, taking into account that we believe that all of you delivered well in your presentations today, but Mariah, our points to you are that we thought that you really delivered your presentation thoroughly. We felt like you the entire team understood the material that you guys presented, and I think that Mr. Ryan Ramlal and Mariah, you barely presented your sides in your initial arguments very well. And what I think, Mariah, was really impressive for us and the judges who considered that was not only your delivery, but your ability to sell that, to be convincing, to be persuasive. The inflections in your voice are as important as the things that you decide to say. Because whatever you create an argument, whatever you decide to put into that argument, it is how you deliver that makes people fall in love with and believe that argument as well. And you did an amazing job in doing that, Mariah. So congratulations.
Thank you very much, Kareem. I now welcome Chief Adjudicator Kimberly Crabb to give a brief critique of the entire debate and to choose.
Now, this debate was very interesting, and we felt that both sides of the argument were pretty good, pretty strong. I am going to highlight a few of the things that we saw on both sides of the argument that you wouldn't want to do in a debate, and it's perhaps a tip for the teams that are to come. One thing that we noticed, presentations were stapled. Presentations shouldn't be stapled because it makes it very difficult for you to go to the next page without the audience knowing that you have material before you. The presentation shouldn't be stapled, and you should just be able to slide. You should never hold your presentation up. There were instances where presentations were being held up and read from. You know, that's a complete no-no. One of the really big positives that we found, each of the presenters was very audible, clear. It was easy for us to follow and understand, so that was really good on all sides of the moot. So give yourselves a round of applause for that. I hope I'm not going to be controversial here. We felt that, and I probably shouldn't do it, but I feel compelled to do it. We felt that the rebuttals were particularly good, especially on the proposition side. We found that you listened. We felt as if you listened to the material and almost prepared your rebuttal after you heard what they had said, and that is the key of an excellent debater. That was really good. Mr. Spencer, you were also very good. One thing that we thought you should have pushed through, you had some really, really solid points, really good points that we had hoped that we would have seen more in the presentation of the team, but you were really good, but you should have pushed them through to the conclusion. You left them sort of open for us to think about. Don't let us think about, tell us what you want us to think. So that was, you had some really good points. Your body language was generally very good, good eye contact. One of the things that you don't want to do, and we saw it on both sides of the argument, please no rolling of eyes at the other side's arguments. We saw that a bit, so don't do that. But generally a very good debate, and I'm really proud to be here among you guys this evening. And now for the winner, and I think do I have to say the scores? So the scores for the opposition, the Virgin Islands Technical School, the score was 520 points overall. And for the proposition, the overall score was 709 points overall. So the proposition won the meet. Thank you.
For winners of debate 1, Brigada Flax Educational Center, congratulations. Thank you very much, judges.